All right, let's just jump right in. Forever, we've looked at ancient texts as these separate, competing stories, right? But what if they're not? What if they're all just scattered pieces of a single massive treasure map left for us to find? Today, we're going to decode a message that humanity seems to have buried, waiting for a future generation, us, to uncover it. So, this is the big question that kicks everything off. I mean, just think about it. Imagine civilizations that never met, that couldn't have possibly communicated, all describing the exact same fundamental truths about reality. What would that even mean? Because if that's true, it suggests that the greatest spiritual secret on Earth was never actually hidden. It was just shattered into pieces and scattered around the globe. And we're not just talking about a few well-known religions here. No. The research for this whole thing went through over 190 sacred texts. I'm talking from every corner of human history, from cultures you've heard of to ones you probably haven't. The sheer scope of this is it's staggering. So as you start to piece all these different clues together, you realize this isn't just some academic exercise. It genuinely feels like you're uncovering a message our ancestors left for us, a kind of inheritance, a treasure map scattered across continents and centuries. I mean, just look at the diversity here. It's wild. You have texts written thousands of miles and thousands of years apart by cultures that had absolutely no way to influence each other. And yet, when you read between the lines, they're all whispering the exact same 5 truths over and over and over again. Okay, but before we get to the message itself, we have to understand why it was kind of hidden in plain sight. And it wasn't some big conspiracy by governments or anything like that. The problem was way older and way more fundamental. The real problem was language itself. This quote from the Tao Te Ching it absolutely nails it. See, the ancient writers knew that any language is basically a cage. It's like trying to catch the ocean in a fishing net. The moment you try to explain something infinite with finite words, you've already kind of missed the point. You've distorted it. You've tried to contain the uncontainable. So what do? They did the only thing they could. They didn't use language like a camera, trying to take a literal snapshot of something that's totally indescribable. Instead, they used it like a map, filled with metaphors, symbols, poetry, and parables. They weren't trying to hide the truth. The truth was just way too big to fit through the tiny doorway of human language. And this is where it all comes together. Once you learn to read the maps instead of just taking the words literally, all the differences between these cultures just start to dissolve. The metaphors line up, the symbols overlap, and 5 core truths, they reveal themselves with just incredible clarity. So, what did they all see? Here they are. Think of these as reality's core operating system. It all starts with the foundational idea that you are not separate. Once you get that, you realize that fear is an illusion that's born from that feeling of separation. Then you see how it works. Your mind is a projector, creating your reality. And what's running a projector? Well, the enemy is the ego. And when you see all that, you come full circle and understand that everything is connected. Let's start with that first one. This is the big one. It's the truth the ancient world tried hardest to tell us, and honestly, it's the one we've forgotten the most. The idea is incredibly simple. You are not separate. You never were. You never could be. That feeling of being an isolated me inside a body looking out at a separate world, it's a profound misunderstanding of how reality works. And would you look at this? Completely different cultures, totally different metaphors, but they're all pointing at the exact same moon. Hinduism says Tat Tvam Asi, which literally means you are that. You are the divine. Jesus said the kingdom of God is within you, not out there somewhere. Sufism says you're the entire ocean in a single drop. You see, they're all saying separation is basically a hallucination. You're not a wave separate from the ocean. You are the ocean, just temporarily pretending to be a wave. Okay, so if we're all one, what's blocking us from feeling it all the time? Well, this is where the other truths just click into place. The first blockage is fear. And the second truth is that this fear is an illusion, born from that mistaken feeling of being separate. And how does that illusion grab hold of us? That's the third truth. Your mind is a projector, constantly creating the reality you experience. And who's the main character in this movie of fear and separation? That brings us to truth number 4, and the definition you see here. The enemy is the ego. The ego isn't who you really are. It's a mask, a story, a protective suit you stitch together to survive your fears. And the problem is, over time, that protective suit becomes a prison. You know, the ego really only survives on one thing: separation. To keep existing, it has to compare. It feeds on being better than, smarter than, or more right than someone else. It needs hierarchy. It thrives on conflict because it needs to be right. And it craves recognition because it desperately needs to feel special. This is that little voice in your head that never ever shuts up, constantly telling you that you're not enough and you have to prove yourself. So, if all the ancients knew this, if these truths were just sitting there in plain sight for thousands of years, how on earth did we lose the signal so badly? How did humanity go from this incredible cosmic awareness to the psychological chaos we often find ourselves in today? Honestly, it wasn't some grand conspiracy. We just forgot. We got hypnotized by the story of who we thought we needed to be. And every single ancient text warned us about these exact traps. They weren't teaching morality in a boring way. They were describing what you could call psychological malware, viruses that would corrupt our awareness the second we started to believe we were separate. And if you just look around today, you can see the symptoms of this malware everywhere. We have built entire civilizations on the lie that we are lacking something. We've traded real meaning for cheap dopamine hits and silence for endless distraction. Anxiety, loneliness, addiction, these aren't bugs in our modern system. They are features of a world that is built on the illusion of separation. But here's the hopeful part. The ancients also agreed on something else. They said that once the illusion becomes unbearable, once the noise in our heads gets too overwhelming, that's when people start to wake up. So they didn't just leave us warnings. They left us a detailed roadmap for how to remember who we really are. And the path they laid out is remarkably consistent across the board. It's a journey of removal, not addition. You're not adding anything to yourself. It all begins with truth, having the courage to just see reality clearly. It demands presence, because awakening can only happen right now, in this moment. This naturally leads to compassion, because you start to literally see yourself in other people. And it's all found in stillness, just removing all the noise and illusions until only the real you is left. So this is probably the most crucial point of all. This entire journey isn't about adding new beliefs or trying to become some new, better person. It's a return. It's about remembering something original, something deep down that you have always been, before the world came along and told you who you were supposed to be. And that's really the final incredible takeaway from this ancient unified message. The whole point isn't that you're a human trying to become spiritual. It's that you are a spiritual being, the universe itself, temporarily having a human experience. The journey isn't about achieving some far-off goal of enlightenment. It's just about remembering that you were never not enlightened. You just forgot for a little while.